Are you good?
I think so.
Look, please tell me that's not a mouse. I just found this shirt, but it's old. That's not a mouse, is it?
Who knows?
Well,
We don't know.
It's got a stain or two in it, but it is an old Pitboss.
It is an old Pitboss.
It's an old one. It's an old one. Love, good afternoon. I was going to say good evening, but I'm going to call it afternoon still. It's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere.
Cheers.
That said, salute. Boom. What are you drinking?
Darn it. I was trying to remember the name. It's a ginger beer. It's Diet Ginger Beer and Canadian Club.
You're still working at 175 at Canadian Club, huh?
It's good in summer.
Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. Yes, it is. But we wanted to, and I'm saying oh, Canada because it is a very happy Canada Day to all our friends north of the border. Oh, my. I'm going to take responsibility for this because it's not you, it's me, why we have not had a new episode up.
You've been busy.
Yeah, it's been busy. But I mean, I should say that's an excuse, obviously. But the reality is we have been. But I'm gonna be the one that's not. You don't have to take any heat. I'm gonna be the one that says that. And
I appreciate that.
oh, well, I love you. I'd reach in and kiss you, but I can't.
We'll hook mics.
It's like we have braces. Yeah, we get connected
with that
now.
halo thing.
Yeah, we get connected now. We won't be able to get away. What am I trying to say? I heard what I want to talk about is I don't talk much about bands, do I? I don't know. I'm sure I've talked.
Banding and bands on.
No, I mean like more banded Brant and geese probably versus ducks. But I don't really. I'm sitting there looking at a nice black duck too. I need to carve some of those things. Which I don't want to go off on a tangent. I'm sorry, talking about carving. But I heard. I'm not a good storyteller. I don't think that I am.
If you can stay focused, you.
But that's why I'm not a good storyteller because I have trouble. I have issues being dyslexic and whatnot.
Did you hear my eyes roll? Because they just did.
No, that was my fingers on the table.
No, my eyes roll.
Oh, I thought that was your eyes I heard. Anyway, I'm being sincere. I don't think that I'm a good storyteller. But I heard as I drove solo yesterday to Greenwood, Delaware, to Scoter and the Mash Dog went dog training, which was freaking hot. Very, very hot. Today was much better. Still solo, and I only took Scoter today. But at least it was breezy. I'm looking at the clock. Like in 15 minutes, we're going to have to take a break. Because I probably can't. I can't pull this off in 15 minutes. Okay. Because I'm going to ramble.
Scudder will appreciate that.
Oh. You going to go get her? All right.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's my professional dog owner duty.
Responsibility, not duty.
It is a duty because I'm opening and shutting the slider 50 times a day.
We've done worn that slider out, or the dogs have. Definitely I'm looking at it from my perspective, the left-hand side. I guess you're outside, you would say the right-hand side. Love, help me focus because I'm totally forgot where I'm at. Storytelling, yes. Went dog training yesterday, and I listened to a story about bands. And again, I'm not a good storyteller, but there are, and I'm sure it's going to turn into more bands, but there's two specific bands, band harvests. Is that what we're going to call it?
Yeah.
Recoveries? How about recoveries?
Okay.
It was like a search and rescue, and we recovered these bands. No, love.
No, it wasn't a search and rescue.
No.
Well, I mean, when you said search and rescue, I'm like, you shot it, and then you had to find the darn thing.
Well, and you say that. That's part. I don't want to ruin the story, but I guess you could say that would be. I was just being. It was more of a play on words. I'm not a comedian either, so. So I just thought it'd be kind of fun. Let's time out. Somehow or another, I don't know there's dogs underneath of us on our cables. Somehow or another, love, this podcast, which I have no idea what the requirements are, what their factors. Come on, help me. The qualifying factor. Anyway, FeedSpot has us the number 6 duck hunting podcast out there. Okay. How can that be?
I have no idea.
When have I talked about duck hunting?
And I appreciate anyone that takes the time to listen.
But when have I talked about duck hunting recently?
No.
Right. So I don't know how we're the number 6 feed spot.
Because it's your Pitboss Waterfowl.
I don't know how. But anyway, so that's what kind of prompted this, is along with listening to a story. was an okay story, but it made me think about my bands. Is really listening to this podcast made me think about my bands, and I don't have a lot. The lanyard's buried anyway. But there's two in particular that I thought of, and they both involve Donald Hughes. And again, if you have not followed along with us, or if you have, I'll just remind you that Donald Hughes, I'm going to give him, credit. He gets credit for a lot of things in my life. Probably, I mean, you can never say all these things that this wouldn't happen, that wouldn't happen. I bet you, not that you and I wouldn't have met, but I bet you that whoever's listening and watching this would not be listening and watching this if I did not meet Donald Hughes. Because again, I've told the story before, I'm not going to go in depth, but he taught me about the internet in 1994 and 5 and 6. Let me repeat that, 1994, 1995, 1996. He taught me about the internet. So I think this is all. Somebody's listening, can't see my hands doing this. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, thank you very much. I got to stop saying Just talk to somebody. Who we were at?
Go on, focus. Finish the sentence.
We were actually at Molly's the other day. I talked about saying But yes, that was a big no, it was an and an ah.
Jeffrey. Come on. What are you saying?
I'm trying to basically
encompassing. Or?
No. I don't know what I'm trying to say now. I'm totally lost. But I think I was trying to say that if I didn't meet Donald Hughes when I did, that whoever's listening or watching, if anyone is, they wouldn't be. And he gets credit for a lot of other things in my life. But as I was driving up the road, listening to some stories about bands, one band, again, Harvest, I'll say, because we shot the bird, right? One band kill, one band shot, one band recovered, whatever, however you want to frame it up.
You got a band.
You got a band, and it got a band. And it was, no, I have to say, it was on an Atlantic Brant, a little saltwater goose. And the first time I ever shot Brant would have been about 1997. Was it 1997? It would have been in 1997. I was not with Donald.
All right, there's about.
Excuse me?
There's about in 1997.
Oh, there's about. I thought you said there's an about. I was like,
No.
I'm like looking. What do you see?
Focus.
That was the first time I ever shot Brant. Shot him at Astigam on was not guiding. It was public property. Was not with Donald, and I shot Brant. We were in the TDB, so that's 1999. So let's say 2 years later, and. When I first shot him in 97, the limit was 2. By the time that Donald and I were hunting him, it was a 3. Believe this or not, Brant, the Atlantic Brant, was a 3-bird limit. I can't remember how many days, but it was more than 30. So I was going to say it was 45 days or 60 days. Not conservative, 30 days. Moderate would be 45 days, and liberal would be 60. Did I say liberal? So. Oh, and at the time, I was a member of, I don't know. Yeah, I was a member. I was a member of the New Jersey Waterfowl Association, and they always sent out their little newsletter, and they were putting a lot of money into banding Brant. And this is this would have been. Donald had this would have been Maryland and Delaware. Excuse me, Maryland and Virginia. Virginia. It's kind of the wild Eastern Shore of Virginia. I still think it's kind of the Wild West of waterfowl. But Donald had at Captain's Cove. What's the place we always go by and say that's Donald had a place in it? Not Captain's Cove. Anyway, it was a place. Oh, love, I could have hit the button.
Sorry, you were busy talking. I didn't want to disturb you.
Well, you got your cable all messed up there. But it was basically a campground. So not Trails End. Thank you. Campground, Trails End, campground. I'm thanking myself.
Okay.
That's the way I am.
Yeah.
Trails End campground. Where you could basically you bought the lot, but because it's a campground, like you couldn't really have anything permanent with air quotes, right? So Donald just had a big camper. Donald and Pat just had a big camper. Patricia. But many of the people in there had small campers, and they built these elaborate. We've seen them, like
down at Chicotee.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
It's kind of wild,
and that's what it was. So they built these, basically built a mini house,
it's a porch,
porches
kind of
and rooms,
porch
and off of like it's attached to a camper. So it's not really. You can say again in air quotes, it's not permanent, because it's a camper and you could always tow it away. But everything else was all built around it. Super nice place. And he's like, hey, you should go down there, use the camper. I was close anyway. Berlin is close. Oh, it's good. A good 45-minute, push an hour's drive down there. But he's like, oh, you should just go down and hang out. And he always tried to tell me where, and they don't do it anymore. But in Virginia, you could actually buy like a county hunting license, but it was like really for residents, right? But Donald would buy this county hunting license for like $15, so he could hunt in Accomack County. Anyway, I bought the non-resident full season license. But anyway, I was on him. I was like, man, let's go. I want to shoot a banded Brant. That's where this all goes around. I want to shoot a banded Brant. Donald was up to hunt anything specific, anything really. But at the same time, if he was along, he would go do whatever it was going to be doing. That didn't even make sense, did it? He was up for the trip. Whatever it was going to be, he was up for it. He was ready to go. So we started, and a good friend Arthur Leonard, because I think the first year I shot Brant with, maybe it was 3 birds by then. But Arthur, he took me out and kind of dialed me in
on the Brant.
Yeah, in Virginia. And Maryland's very regulated, so you just can't hunt Brant anywhere in Maryland. But anyway, I can vividly recall, and I don't want to say the ramps or anything like that, but I remember it very well. We're in the TDB. I had the blind up, just the two of us. I would have had, I don't know that I had Coot yet. Yes, I did. She would have been a very young dog because I had Coot with Arthur, and his parlor blind, his offshore blind, his booby blind, freaking Scoter. Oh my goodness, Coot's just jumping right off the thing, right, getting like it's, I don't know, 8 feet down to the water. She just jumped right out to go get the birds. And then I had to climb down, get in the boat, and she swam around. I got her in the boat, and we went back up in the blind. But anyway, we're sitting there. We could shoot 6 birds, and we have not shot a banded Brant. I just over in the distance there, I can see Coot holding a Brant.
The Brant, yeah.
Yep. And actually, it's the TDB's there, and the lower picture that's supposed to be Donald, the person that.
Oh, okay. Who painted it?
Brian Vavra.
It's a nice picture.
It is very nice. And he just didn't. Actually, it's a lot of
painting. It's a nice painting.
Painting, yes, not a picture. It's a paint. Yeah, and he wanted to put Donald in there, and actually, it's a really good rendition of Bill DeGeorge, Mudhen, PA, from just outside Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. But he thought it was Donald. So when he did it for me, he thought that was Donald, which it wasn't, but it's still good. It's not a problem. But we were sitting there, kind of, slightly north of Chincoteague. Not really. We were west of Chincoteague. And we're shooting Brant. And I'm not the best shot in the world. You and I, we're not. Like we can. What did we just
include me and
what did we just say?
Novice.
Yeah, but what did we just say the other day? If this past December on PEI, if Jeff left,
Jeff had to go
off
natural break or something. Right. Yep.
And if we could have shot, how many ducks would you and I had?
We shot at so many. We sucked.
It was pitiful. It
really was embarrassing.
So anyway, I had to throw that out there. Love, it's getting close to 5:00, and we're gonna have to. Not take a drink. We're going to have to stop this and get the party ribs together. But anyway.
Steve Bigelow, thinking of you.
We are.
Clays and wings.
Yeah. He keeps offering and telling us to come shoot with him. And I really want to become proficient with the 28 gauge. So I need to get, from Molly's, I need to get a case of, like, I don't even know they make target load 28 gauge or not. But
that might be fun for Jan and Tony to do.
Okay. I need to get a case. All right, don't sidetrack me.
Okay.
Yep. So we're sitting there shooting birds, shooting birds, and I did shoot this Brant, and that sucker sailed off. And I'm watching it, and it hits the water. And Donald was like, well, I said, we should go over and get it. He's like, well, we're going to miss something. I said, yeah, but it's sitting over there. And I don't want to paint Donald in a bad light on this one. That's not my. But we were back and forth. Should we go take a look? What if it just landed and it gets up and flies away? I was like, yeah, but I really want to go. I really want. I think we should really go over there. And we go over there, and I don't remember. So maybe Coot was not with us. I know she would have been. I know she would have been. She would have been with. What's wrong?
Can you mute me, please?
There you go. Oh, I think everybody can still hear her on mine. Are you good?
Yeah, Cork does.
Okay, Cork does, yeah. She had to be, because there's pictures of her at Trail's End. So she would have had to have been with us.
Okay.
I'm sure she was with us.
Okay.
I think she was with us.
Okay.
Okay, but anyway, we go over there, loving, and I'm going to say, anyway, however, if I grabbed the bird or Coot went and got it, I picked the thing up and I hold it up by his leg, and there is my first band of a Brant. And it was just like it had kind of come, like, this is what we've been trying, like we've been talking about this, the whole New Jersey Waterfowl Association.
And it was New Jersey banded?
No, it was not.
Okay.
It was not.
All right, let you finish your story.
But they may have put money into the banding program to get them banded, but it was a federal band. But they were putting, the New Jersey Waterfowl Association was putting money towards getting
banded.
Yes. So it was a really I just remembered that as I drove the road the other day of how I truly shot my first Brant band. And I said there was two bands that involved Donald. But I have to go a little bit of a tangent. And do we need to go check the ribs?
This might be a good time to break.
Okay, we're going to take a quick.
Do you remember what your point is going to be when we come back?
I'm going to try my very best to remember.
Okay.
Will I remember? I cannot guarantee you that.
All right.
Yes, I will.
Okay. You can remember a lot of strange stuff.
Hey, little Scooter dog. Scooter came for a visit. Is everyone in out of the heat now?
Yes.
All right, man. Awesomeness. It is what is the party ribs. Are they good or what?
God, they are good. Right. So good.
I'm going to stay on topic about Brant and bands, but I want to just take a little segue. No, a little sidebar. I don't even know what a little break from talking about that.
Okay.
What's another good word to use?
A break.
A break. We're going to take a break from the Brant. But, man, party ribs. They've been on for 2 hours. We're going to cook them for 45 more minutes. It's simple and easy. They're
wrapped this time.
Yeah, they're wrapped for the last 45 minutes. Simple and easy and simple. We season them slightly different. Season them before we cut them up. Okay, party ribs. You take some baby back ribs.
And we use the Smithfield extra meaty baby back ribs.
That's the ones we love.
Yep.
And you're basically just cutting individual ribs. So the bone, you just cut in between the bones, and that's you're going to have individual ribs. What did we do differently this time? We actually used a quick rub of olive oil.
You did olive oil?
Yeah, olive oil as a binder, and we put Michael Scahill's old Fireman's Barbecue, the Sweet Heat.
Sweet Heat, it's really good.
That's the one you really like.
Yep.
Really, all his stuff is good, but that's the one. That's the one specifically. And when we run out of that, we're going to use the straight up. Yep. Straight up. I don't know what the other one's called.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Basically, it's pork rub.
Just a seasoning rub.
Yeah. But anyway, and season them. And the only other thing we did differently, is bump the heat up. So instead of doing like 235, we're at 275 for 2 hours. And I would do, at the old way, and we're testing this to see if this is a good way to do it. They look really good so far in 2 hours in. But the old way, I do a good hour plus. We're just going to do this for 45 minutes. They're still at 275, so. We good? Mm-hmm. All right. So Brant bands, because I'm dyslexic.
Brant bands.
Out of birds, I do want to talk about a different Donald Hughes related band, but I've been fortunate over the years with guiding. When people talk about bands, like, oh, you should know exactly. I think, because I haven't shot one in a while, I believe I have 15 Brant bands.
Really?
Yes, and they were taken. This is what I want to go off a little bit of a tangent. Not talking about Donald Hughes. They were taken, and actually, there's even been more than that shot in the boat. George Lee's, which I have not talked to George Lee's in forever. I can remember specifically him shooting one day. But there's two neat little stories about me shooting Brant, besides Donald Hughes. So again, with guiding, I don't shoot
when you guide, you don't shoot.
I don't shoot my gun with the party, but especially when Brant was a 3-bird limit. Hey guys, they're done. Can we hang out here for a couple minutes? Let me shoot my 3. It would be that kind of thing, right? So there's two specific stories that I can vividly remember. Number one, not necessarily number one, but one of them is I took a party in the morning and we shot our birds. Jim Hansel, at the time, Duck Dog from the old refuge forums, who at the time was a Pennsylvania state trooper, was down with, I cannot remember his name, but he was a Pennsylvania state trooper helicopter pilot. And they were over on the Nanacoke trying to shoot divers, and they were not successful. And I remember saying, hey, we had a really good morning. If you guys want to come over this afternoon. And I didn't shoot my birds in the morning with these guys. But if you guys want to come over, like I feel pretty, you want to shoot some Brant, I think we can make it happen. Coot was definitely 100% on this trip. And it would have been the year that I got my new Franke Alciona T over and under gun. So maybe I shouldn't say this part. Should I or should I not?
I don't know what you're going to say.
All right, we cut that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know where I should start again. Where should I start? Anyway, the limit of Brant was 100% 3 birds. And the birds are just coming in. We're in the it would have been the 19 TDB.
In Virginia? Where are you at?
In Maryland. We're in Maryland on a blind sight license.
Okay.
Greg Steen, thank you very much. For Greg Steen Homes and Steen Homes, as well as Greg Steen Realtor. Thank you very much. We owe him a lot, but I owe him a lot too. So birds are coming in. They're like, man, come on, shoot with us. And Coot's retrieving them. And I'm like, all right. So I get my gun out, the new over and under. So it would have been this is probably in December. I got the over and under at the Eastern Waterfowl Festival in November. So this was like late December, early January. Get the gun out, and here comes some birds in. And what are you doing?
Nothing.
The reality is I was just slow to shoot, and the birds landed. I didn't shoot on the water. Like, what? And they're like, the reality is it's a brand new gun. I came up, shouldered the gun, and like I wasn't where the safety is, and you have to push it with your thumb, on and on. I wasn't used to shooting a gun. But this is what I say. That bird wasn't banded. And they're like, oh, fuck you, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff, Just shoot a bird. So here comes some other ones. Boom. Now, should I swear? I swear to you, this is what happened. Before I send Coot to go get that, I look at Jim and I say, remember, I only shoot banded Brant. She goes out there, gets the bird. She has it in her mouth, and it's rolled up. And there's a leg hanging out. He's like, there ain't no band on that. I reached down. Luck would have it.
Strike you dead.
I reached out and say, ah! And then there were some cuss words, and they went boom, 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 and we were done with our limit. We shot 9 of them.
Nice.
So that's one. Now this other one is a little. I don't really want to say who was with us, but the limit is 2, and there's 1, 2, 3. There are 6 of us, and there's 3 Utes. My favorite, one of my favorite movies, Utes. He says, "Excuse me, Utes." Oh yes, I can't do a good. See, I'm not a good storyteller. Joe Pesci says, "Excuse me, Your Honor, youths."
Youth.
My cousin Vinny.
In youths.
He said Utes.
Okay.
The Utes came in. He's like, excuse me, what? I can't remember what his name was. Anyway, this is. See, that's why I'm not a good storyteller. But anyway, basically, it was 3 young hunters. Do I need to? This is where you made me edit before. Anyway, we're lined up. We're in the. It's at least 2004, 2005 because we're in the 21 bags. Yeah, so now we're not in a 17-footer anymore. We're in a 21-footer, and I just remember we're kind of sitting there looking. So the picture would be I'm looking out. Everybody's to my left and Cooch to my right. It may have been Diamond that day. I don't remember the dog, to be honest with you. But what I do remember is they're like, come on, man, shoot with us, shoot with us. I know you guys shoot. It's all good. You guys shoot. So this bunch of birds come in, Brant specifically, and they come in and a couple of them drop. I don't even have my gun out. I know who handed me a gun, but I'm not going to say. Someone hands me a gun. He probably would like to shoot me.
He's no longer.
No, he's not a relative of ours.
Okay.
But he probably, hindsight, instead of handing me the gun, he probably would have liked to shoot me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you're no longer a friend with him.
I think we are friends. Because I one day at Wawa, I had coffee in my hand, and he opened the door for me, and I looked at him, and I'm expecting to kind of get punched. I said, we good? He's like, we're good. I said, you sure we're good? He's like, yep. I had coffee. You and I had coffee. Your apartment days. Anyway.
Remember. Okay.
I do remember that vividly. But anyway, he hands me the gun. I shoot a bird off as it falls. It's dead. We go pick theirs up. Mine, it's very clear where my bird is. We go over there, and damn things, I think it was Diamond, comes back, and it's got a band on it. Now I got these 3 young kids going, oh, give me the band. I want the band kind of thing. So that was a vivid Brant band moment. And then there was another one. I'm not going to say what boat company it was, but we were filming for the old D3 TV. And the same kind of thing. This is where I learned a lesson with videoing. And I think you and I, to this day, I think we still hold this standard. But we're filming for D3 TV. D3, the DVD series and/or TV. And we shoot this. I got this freaking weird ass microphone, almost like this, except it's this little thing hanging off my ear. I felt very uncomfortable. It was the very first year. Anyway, we're shooting Brant. Diamond, this I do know. Diamond comes back and it's a banded bird, and we didn't really know how to react. Like, how do we react? We're being filmed. Like, what do we do? We don't know. What do I do with my hands? I don't know. Right? So we threw the bird back, and oh wow! Then it was the opposite.
Staged.
It was like, well, then after the fact, we just used. It kind of got edited. Well, we did not use the reenactment. It was what got used in the. If it's still out there, I'm sure it is. I hold the bird up; it's got a band on it. But that was another vivid Brant band story. But the whole thing about telling Jim about I only shoot banded birds. I do remember telling the young fellows that were with us that morning. I remember telling them that too. So I guess over the years I've just been maybe a little bit somewhat lucky, or going a lot, but definitely lucky where again I'm not shooting with the party. It's all about them. Hey, Dookie. It's all about them. And I've still, now I'm going to have to go count. I'm not right this minute, but I'm pretty confident that it's at least 15 Brant bands. So, matter of fact, the one, it was not, I shot it with Donald. It's the bird that's out over the bathroom door, not over the goose is over the bathroom door. But the Brant that's out there standing, it's a big old bird. And that was shot with Donald that I got mounted. It was shot in Virginia. And I remember, I started putting, it was not banded, but when I shot a band, I started putting the bands, not really crimping them down, but I would put them on that bird's legs because it's standing.
Yeah.
And I remember having at least 6 of them at one time. I was like, ooh, I gotta start doing something different with the bands. But anyway, thoughts, comments, questions about Brant bands?
Not Brant in particular, but I know Skoda.
Now, you're talking about the Skoda duck or the Skoda dog?
The Skoda ducks.
Okay, Skoda.
That, when you've been guiding. Gosh, since I've known you, I want to say maybe twice. They've been banded Skoda show.
That was the last two, and for some reason, it was in the very last week.
Okay.
Thank you. It just brought up another Brant banding story.
Did
Not
I?
banding.
When I was talking about Skoda, but now we're back on Brant?
Yes. So,
hi.
Who's that?
The horse.
The horse. He's going to go get his teeth done. Dookie was just over here looking at me.
This is proof.
He needs a canine pulled and
a big molar.
A big molar in the back.
Yeah.
He's just big and dumb.
He chews rocks.
Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of dog he's going to be. No
A
offense.
good boy.
No offense or reflection on the ride dog and or Ranger Danger. But all right, so here we're going sea duck hunting, and it's going to tie into your story a little bit. Okay. Yes. To recap, because you got me sideways. The last two Skoda bands you were not part of, but in my life, in our relationship, it happened in a week's time. It was on the ocean in like a week. The numbers weren't close. It just happened to be the luck of the luck. But it was a super foggy morning. This is back in the day on a couple of the back bays. The Skoda were very, very numerous. So, and I had a Brant collection permit.
Stop.
And I guess I have to, remind me of that. No, I'll just say it right up front. There was one morning where I shot 35 Brant by myself, and I actually started to have a conscience of like,
But that was for the DNR.
yeah, and I had a permit. It was all legal.
Yes,
it was out of season.
for research.
It was out of season, but they wanted 200 of them, and I was kind of slow in getting them. They were very specific to tell me I could not guide doing this. They actually were going to let me shoot them on Sunday, and then they had a second thought. I was like, that's probably not a good idea. You're going to piss somebody off. We don't have Sunday hunting in Maryland, waterfowl hunting in Maryland. And anyway, so I had the collection permit. We're going out in a fog from, you've never launched there with me. Public Landing.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
From Public Landing, or we went in there? I
I
don't think you ever went. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not a good part. Okay. So we're going out, and it's foggy. And very close to the western shoreline, there's a Brant. And I pretty much assumed it's a cripple because it was in a place that it should not be. It was in the fog. We spin around, and they're like, what are you doing? I said, we're going to pick that Brant. I swear to you, I said this. I said, well, they're like, and again, I didn't, so I had this permit so I could get Brant anytime. But I didn't really want to tell them that because they were possibly be like, well, let's go shoot Brant. Like, oh yeah, but we can't on the permit. Brant was open. They were from Virginia. Brant was open in Virginia, but it wasn't open in Maryland. We're very close to the Virginia state line in Maryland. I'm not a good storyteller, but they're like, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're going to swim around and get that Brant." And they're like, "Why?" I said, "Because it's got a band on it." I said that. Coot jumps out there. She gets it. She brings it back. And it's got a freaking band on it, and it's alive because it was a cripple.
Wow! Yeah. I'm
holding up, and they're like, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, we can let it go, but I'm taking the band off of it." And then I kind of was like, "Hey, I'm just joking around. I have a collection permit. I'm going to call the Maryland DNR. They're going to come get this bird, whatever." I said, but I am taking the band off the bird. So we go on out that morning. It would have probably been. It was before our relationship. So maybe it would have been number 6 or number 7 Skoda all time. They shot a surf Skoda that had a band on it. So it kind of felt like a little bit of guide redemption in the fact of the bird that we did not shoot the Brant. It was crippled Skoda. Check that. And then check proof getting crazy in the creek.
It's MASH. She went and destroyed that kennel over there, and now she's working on that one.
Anyway, I felt bad about I'm keeping this band, but they were like looking at me. It's almost like the boys were looking at me like, can we have the band? I'm like, no, it's my band, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, they did shoot a band at Skoda that day. So when you said about Skoda bands, it reminded me of another Brant band, which again, over the years, somehow, some way, oh, look, this is a beautiful dog. If anybody wants to breed to a black Labrador male retriever. This is the dog right here. I'm telling you what. It's going to be Elmer Tea Time Scoter puppies.
Yeah. Well, he still has to get his OFAs and whatnot, but he's just a nice dog.
And he has to get a couple letters attached to his name. But
we'll get there.
I think Scoter will be the one that has more letters attached to her name than him. But
because she's a year older.
Yeah, but he's a nice dog. All right, I'm sorry. So that's Scoter. Yes, I kind of hijacked. Oh, who's this?
It's the Mash.
All right, so I hijacked your Scoter bands. It's just been there so few and far between. And really what this comes down to, it's just much like early Canada Goose. I mean, people shoot, here comes a flock of 20 and 12 of them had bands on it when they shoot into them. It's the not probability. It's how easy are those birds to capture to band. And sea ducks are very difficult to band because they're difficult to capture versus Brant. Brant are a little bit more on the easy.
What was that show we watched? And it was a biologist that had some in captivity for research purposes. Where was that? They had them in tanks somewhere. It was up north somewhere.
That was us.
It was in your show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eider?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Eider, but it was Scoter.
Well, Scoter were at Patuxent.
Okay. Well, okay. I watched the show.
Yeah.
That was really cool, actually.
Yeah, it was a cap.
Should go back and watch it.
So now you're going to make me go off on a tangent.
Oh, jeez. No, stop for another day.
The problem. Okay, we'll talk about it another day. The problem is those birds. If they're 100%. The birds that you saw in the video were wild birds, except they were raised by hand. If you go and capture a Scoter, like it needs to eat clams and mussels.
Yep.
And if you don't have a fresh supply of clam and mussels, it's not going to. It'll die, right? So that was their biggest problem when they captured a wild adults. U.S. Fish and Wildlife, they had issues keeping them alive because of feeding them. So they went and got wild
out of their brains.
Well, yeah, but they went and got eggs that were. They went on the nest and got eggs, incubated these wild birds that are now in captivity. So genetically, they are wild Scoter, wild sea ducks.
Yep.
Genetically, but because they were raised from chicks, they eat pellet food. So it's almost like
just got to eat. So that's what they eat.
Yeah, but
it's no better.
Yes, but it's almost like if you went to I don't know. There was a zoo, maybe the Philadelphia Zoo. Anyway, that has sea ducks, and they need to eat pellet food, or they need to eat some type of food that is
processed food.
Great processed food that's not clams and mussels. So, we're going to keep going with this. We got about 15 minutes before we need to pull the ribs. Here's my next band story with Donald Hughes, and it definitely involves coot. I have not talked. Many people know who. Well, I say many people. People that know me from back in the day, 20 years ago, they know Coot. So, Coot, C-O-O-T. She was a black lab female. She was a master hunter at 26 months old, and she was a qualified all-age field trial. Can I say bitch? Black bitch. Excuse me. Black bitch. At about just over 4 years, 4.25, 4.5 years. I can't remember the months. But anyway, so Canada geese in Maryland on the Eastern Shore, the AP Canada goose, the Ungava Peninsula nesting Canada goose, was closed for many, many years. So when I first got into goose hunting, I went and shot. Maybe it was open 1 or 2 years. But anyway, shot a lot of snow geese, or tried to shoot a lot of snow geese. I'm so old. When I first went to shoot snow geese, guess what the limit of snow geese was?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Like 30?
A 4-bird limit. 4. That's how old I am, love.
Wow, you are old.
Yeah, I really am. But anyway, they reopened the Canada goose season. It's a 30-day one bird. The AP Canada goose, and it would have been, like 20. It was probably closed in like 95, 96. Now, I know they wanted to be closed at least 5 years. I think it went over a little bit longer than that. But let's say it was at least 2003. They reopened it. And Donald, again, just like the whole Brant band, Donald knew that I wanted to shoot a banded Canada goose. So anyway, long story short, Secretary is the area in Dorchester County, just east of the Choptank River. Donald had 3 different areas to hunt, and there was a pit. And the other 2 were like ditch blinds, A-frame blinds. And we were hunting out of a pit. We is Coot and I. Donald was not with me. I can't remember why, if he had already went and hunted and shot his one bird, and I did sea ducks. Yeah, it was funny. The big old mash dog walking around. But we get in the pit. Here comes 3 Canada geese right into the decoys. Just nice as you can be. I stand up to shoot the first one, and Coot kind of broke out of the pit and like is in front of me, so I don't shoot. But because I didn't shoot the first bird, I go to the second bird, and then I look at the third bird, and there's this big old collar on this thing, on a Canada goose. I'm like, holy moly, boom. So that's my first Canada. Well, there's another band story in there, but this is 100%. This is the first one that I shot.
Is that the band?
The bib
collar?
Yeah. It's kind of the rubber. I call it a funnel or a bib. Yep. It's a rubber kind of a. It's over in the cedar chest right here. But yeah, but basically, Coot allowed me to not shoot Canada of the 3 Canada goose number 1 because she broke on me and was in my way, so I did not shoot. And then I looked at number 2, and I was like, holy moly, there's number 3 in the sky. Like, it just was like, it should have been fluorescent orange. That's how I remembered. It was just so vivid. I was shooting the old Remington SP10, which I don't have anymore, that bothers me. It shouldn't really, though, because what am I going to do with it? I would have it just to have it.
Yeah, the hoarding tendencies.
Yeah, but somebody else has it, which bothers me. Yeah. Just like they have my old 200S 3-wheeler, Honda 3-wheeler.
Could be handy right now.
Well, fuck them. That's all I got to say. All right, so that's my band stories. I guess I could go in. So Canada geese. The very first time ever, Donald Hughes and I met in the summer. We kind of hung out a little bit. He rode me. Well, I rode him around. He showed me all the places I could hunt. And it's September 1st. Bill DeGeorge over there, he came down, and I think I didn't get down to like the 2nd or the 3rd, but they had the decoys out already. Donald always had mounted geese. It was over in Hardscrabble, Delaware, which is just right up the road. In Millsboro, where they're doing that whole intersection thing, the bridge, I would have turned there and went on up, and we went past it where like it was a field, but now it's like a sand and gravel pit. Okay. Yep. First time meeting Bill DeGeorge in the dark. And Donald walked very slow, and he's like, go on out. He says, if you get out there and you see any geese, just go ahead and shoot them. It was like right about shooting time. It wasn't like we were going to do anything illegal, but if you get out there, don't wait on, basically saying, don't wait on me, right? Yep. So we get out there, and Bill DeGeorge is the one truly who planted the seed for me to cook when we hunted. He actually that morning he cooked us up a breakfast. I was like, this is like he went out back and cooked all this stuff up, and it was really, really good. But we're sitting there. Bill's on my left. I'm kind of in the middle of the blind, and Donald finally gets out and sits to my right. And he's like, why didn't you shoot that goose there? It's bright now. And he had all like, so it was a little it was a low water pond. There were some little sandbars, and he actually had mounted decoys. He would call them mounts, not stuffers, but mounts, Canada geese out there. And honestly, the goose was out there sleeping with them, and they all looked the same, right? So this thing gets up, and they're like, Jeff, shoot that. And like, it was just sitting on the water. I was like, should I shoot it on the water? Anyway, by the time they convinced me, it was over way too far to my left, and I'm sorry, but this would have been my gun, right? So you're Bill DeGeorge. I'm not going to shoot. I can't shoot because it's way over. By the time they said shoot it, so Bill DeGeorge shoots it, and guess what?
It's banded.
Yep. I'm like, fuck, bitch. I said, fuck, not son of a bitch. And but anyway, I have that band today because when Bill DeGeorge did pass away, I did get a hold of his wife, and I bought. So I do have an SP10. It's Bill DeGeorge's. I did buy his SP10, so the one that I have somewhere is his, not mine, the original one. And a lot of those plastic decoys that we sold, remember, way back? I got a bunch of decoys from him. The SmartWorks, Evan Graham SmartWork books that the puppies chewed up, they were his. Okay. And I just told her, I was like, hey, I told her the story. Like, if you ever come across a Canada Goose band, I said I would really like to have that thing just because that was the very first time I ever met Bill. And she did eventually, she got a hold of me, she says, I found that thing. And even with the certificate, and it was just really kind of cool. So I guess that's more than just the band, Brant and Goose bands that I wanted to talk about. So thoughts, comments,
lots of memories.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, I have not shot anything banded, but I have not shot that many.
Yeah.
So I would be kind of very lucky if I did, but maybe one day.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you talk to. Some people tell you they've shot, boatloads of birds and never shot a band. Other people is like, I didn't shoot any birds, but so really what it comes back to, I guess there's luck involved, right? But specifically with Canada geese, like if you're doing September goose and you happen to be 2 miles from where they banded them, the probability is going to be very high that you're going to shoot a lot of Canada geese.
At Ocean Pines,
exactly.
The pond, oh my gosh, the resident geese, we see bands on them all the time driving by.
Yep. But anyway, I don't know if this was a good podcast because I'm not a good storyteller, but those are 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 stories that I vividly. And you know what? Talking about Brant bands, when Geoff and Danny were down.
Oh yeah, they shot one.
They shot one too.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so Brant for me, for our area. Well, I can't say for our area because I'm sure there's a lot of Canada geese that are banded that bands get taken from. But definitely Brant over the years. I really want Brant over the years. I'll finish my sentence. Over the years have been very good for bands. I really want to go to Mexico and shoot black Brant. And if we went, I would take a day to be very picky and choosy because quite often our bands are metal. The black Brants on the West Coast quite often are a plastic tarsal band with the metal band. So I think they're a little more easy to spot as they come in. Possibly. I'm thinking that they are.
Well, keep saying one day, right?
One day.
You have to figure that one out.
Yeah, well, what happens, what I always say is you keep saying one day you want to do this and one day you want to do that. One day never gets here. So you need boom, boom, boom. You need to make this shit happen today.
Yeah. We just have to figure out how we can have someone come and watch all our animals.
Well, I told Drew and Bill today, dog training, that I said, man, we're looking at beautiful piece of property where we're at, and property is becoming harder and harder to find on dog training. I just looked at them both. I was like, you know what, guys? I said we play Mega Millions and Powerball every day, and they're kind of looking at me like, well, what's that mean? Well, when we win, we're gonna have our own dog training grounds. Yeah, because we're gonna go buy a nice place. How
awesome would that be? Yeah.
And I even told them, I said, we're not greedy. We don't need to have the 310 million. We'll take a couple numbers less and get $1 million. It doesn't have to be 310 million dollars. We'll take half of that or a quarter of that. We're not greedy.
Nope. Would certainly help.
Then it turned into a big thing about why isn't the Mega Millions now a $5 ticket? I said, well, it is, but they give you 2 sets. They do give you 2 sets of numbers. I said, yeah, good. Oh, I haven't bought one in a while. So, when you for $5, you get 2 sets of numbers and the multiplier or something. But I don't know. I really don't look at it. I just buy the ticket.
And then go check them periodically.
Yeah, I did tell them. I was like, well, if I'm not buying a ticket, I definitely can't win. So maybe it's wasteful. Maybe it's foolish.
Not if you win.
Yeah, well, that's what I told them. So anyway, all right, go ahead, because I'm about to end this.
No, we're going to get going.
We got about 3 minutes before we need to pull the ribs off.
Yep, my stomach's growling.
This is the Pit Boss Podcast, evidently on FeedSpot, the number 6 out of 30 duck hunting podcasts out there currently. But I just want to run through real quick all our good friends and partners. If you could, at the very least, if you could, follow them on social media. So the first one up is the Pitboss Podcast brought to you by our very good friends at Molly's Place Sporting Goods, MYMOLLYS.com. Molly's Place Sporting Goods, which in the car room this afternoon, I did remind everybody, coming very, very soon in Easton, Maryland is Molly's second location, which is going to be a Kuyu. I had to watch how I word this, but basically it's going to be the first East Coast Kuyu store. Listen to this. It's going to be the first East Coast Kuyu store on the East Coast. Anyway, check them out. MyMolly's.com, Molly's Place Sporting Goods. Fuel your adventure. It is Maryland's premier and firearms sporting goods store. Up next, Crabs to Go. To crabstogo.com. Crabs to Go is easily found on Route 50 and Route 589 in Berlin, Maryland, just outside Ocean City. Up next, Gunner Kennels. Gunner.com. Man's best kennel. Check them out on all the social media platforms. Gunner Kennels, Gunner.com. Up next, Steve Hoover. Said Steve's name a couple times the past couple days. Steve Hoover, Duckwater Boats, duckwaterboats.com. Punishing the docks and rocks or duck hunting boats of distinction, which is what you like to say, love. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Steve Hoover, thank you very much. Up next, it is Duck Blind Bistro or Duck Blind Bistro. How do you say that? That was my thing way back in the day, but it is Duck Blind Bistro, duckblindbistro.com. It is they are the ultimate outdoor oven. Please check out duckblindbistro.com. Turtle Box Audio, listen loud, live free, but they should be the ultimate Bluetooth speaker. We appreciate everyone at Turtle Box, turtleboxaudio.com. DMAX.com, DEEMAXX.com. They have been the stainless steel brake components on the last two duck boat trailers, current boat trailer, the world's largest duck boat, as well as the last duck boat Loadmaster trailer, starting back in the year 2010. We appreciate. I can't even read all this you wrote, love. Okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm just not that good. Maybe next time I'll let you read it all. But anyway, DMAX, check them out. DEEMAXX.com. Not last and not least, but it is the Huntproof app. Huntproof.app. You can go right on Instagram today and see exactly the setups that we ran. So, Huntproof app also is a great way to document your duck hunts as well as your turkey hunts. So check them out, huntproof.app. Pitbosswaterfowl.com, Pitboss Waterfowl. What do I got to say? We have a couple more days left.
Yep. What did we say? January's all booked.
Yeah, January's booked.
October 11th is available.
Yeah, a couple days in November.
Yep.
December 23 and 25. Those are not going to get booked. But anyway, pitbosswaterfowl.com. Check us out, please. Thank you very much. And as always, we appreciate everyone following along with. Evidently, again, FeedSpot says we are the number 6 podcast out there. So, love, anything you want to say?
No. Right. Got to get the newsletter out. Oh, St. Michael's carving class. Jeff is teaching a class.
August 8, 9, and 10. Yep.
Get on the St. Michael's Maritime Museum.
Yep. You can carve a canvasback, a green-winged teal, or a black duck.
Yep.
All right. That's all you got?
That's all
I got. All right. Let me just think a second. Yep. Air conditioning feels good. The Crown Black is tasting good. Mm-hmm. Sweet Paulie. Thinking of you, we are. And let's go pull the party ribs.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for following along. And thinking of you, we are. Boom.
Cheers.
Salute.
I got a refill.
Go.